bill. Wrote it slow in capital letters last week, closing Sunday still. Taped it to the window glass, stood outside and read it twice. 30 years behind that door, fitting into one small sign. First customer at 8:30. Sat down, saw the window wait. He said, "You playing or you done?" I said, "Sunday locks the door." He went quiet in the chair, stared at me inside the mirror. Whole week left and every seat already feels like something more. Second man came right at 9, didn't read the sign at all. Got his usual, paid his usual, heard it from the man before. By the afternoon the phone rang with voices I forgot. People calling just to ask if the cardboard sign was not. Swept the hair and wiped the chair. Monday feeling like a year. He said, "You're playing or you're done?" I said, "Sunday locks the door." He went quiet in the chair, stared at me inside the mirror. Whole week left and every seat already feels like something more. I bought this place at 25. Rent was late for the first 3 years. Same window, same door, same bell, same spot where the sign is sitting now. Back then I taped the sign that said grand opening, walk-ins welcome. Funny how the cardboard's the same, just the words went somewhere else. Locked up Monday like I always do. Keys still heavy, lights still mine. Sign is facing out the glass, catching every headlight passing by. 6 more days of the same old chair, 6 more days of the bell in the door. 30 years don't end on Monday, but Monday's when they know the score. Walked home slow the long way around, didn't feel like getting there. Something in the window changed tonight. Not the shop, just the air. Monday's done, the last one left. Flipped the sign and killed the lights, but I didn't grab my coat. Walked back to the chair and sat. Leather shaped the way I lean, armrest worn from where I hold. Pump still works on the first press, same spring sound for 30 years. Shop is dark except the street. Orange light across the seat. I remember 25. Couldn't grow a proper beard. Signed the lease with shaking hands. Landlord didn't think I'd last. First chair bought on someone's debt. Now he knows me more than I know myself. First week nobody walked in. Swept the same clean floor again. Put the radio on loud. loud just to make the room feel full. Second week a man sat down, said just take a little off. Hands were trembling on the comb, cut it slow and charged him wrong. He came back the week after that, 29 years, same time, same flat. I remember 25, couldn't grow a proper beard. Signed a lease with shaking hands. Landlord didn't think I'd last. First chair bought on someone's debt. Now it knows me more than I know myself. I was so afraid of silence that I talked through every cut. Now I know that half the men sat down here to shut their mouth, not to hear me, not to talk, just to sit where nothing's asked. 30 years to learn the thing I've been selling wasn't hair, it was the chair and the quiet. In the 40 minutes there, leather creaking when I shift, street light humming through the blind. 30 years ago I sat here wondering if I'd survive. Now I'm sitting in the same spot, wondering how the time went by. Same chair, same spring, same sound, different man, but the leather don't mind. Sunday's coming like a train, but tonight the chair is mine, just mine. Like the first night all again. Tuesday morning, 7 sharp. Earl is standing at the door. Same coat, same hat, same Tuesday. Been like that since '84. Sits down heavy, doesn't speak, till the cape is on his chest. Then he starts about his garden. Same tomatoes, same old pest. Clip the sides, don't touch the top. Earl's been saying that since Reagan. The regulars don't need appointments. They don't check the time or call. They just show up like the morning and they sit against the wall. Every Tuesday, every Thursday, same man in the same old spot. They don't come here for the haircut. They come here 'cause the world does not stop for them the way I do. Theo pulls up after lunch, parks the truck and takes his time. Doesn't talk about himself, talks about his daughter's climb. She's in law school, second year. Says it like he built the books. Every visit, one more chapter. Every cut, another look. Straight rays on the neck he trusts. 30 years of that says much. The regulars don't need appointments. They don't check the time or call. They just show up like the morning and they sit against the wall. Every Tuesday, Every Thursday, same man in the same old spot. They don't come here for the haircut, they come here 'cause the world does not stop for them the way I do. Marcus hasn't said a word since his wife passed back in June. Sits down, closes both his eyes, 40 minutes in the room. I don't ask and he don't tell, just the sound of scissors working. Sometimes that's the only comfort a man can get without it hurting. 5 o'clock and Tuesday's done. Swept the floor of all their hair, gray and black and silver mix. 30 years of men in there. Every strand of man who trusted somebody to hold a blade against his throat and take a little off the life that time had made. Tomorrow's Wednesday, more will come. Faces I've been knowing long. 6 more days and this chair's empty. But tonight, the regulars won. They filled the room like always, like the sign was never on. Wednesday evening, broom in hand, pushing dust along the floor. Same direction, same old path, wall to door and back once more. Bristles catch on something small, penny stuck between the boards. Pull it out and hold it up, 1989 it reads. Penny sitting in my palm, older than my daughter's life. 30 years of what fell down, living in the cracks and seams. Every sweep I ever made, missed the things between the grain. Now I'm pulling up the floor, finding pieces no one claimed. Button from a winter coat, rolled behind the baseboard tight. Guitar pick, somebody's blue, must have fell from someone's right. Bobby pin beneath the sink, woman's from the years I let wives sit in while husbands trimmed back when Saturday was said. Little things that found the dark, made a home beneath my art. 30 years of what fell down, living in the cracks and seams. Every sweep I ever made, missed the things between the grain. Now I'm pulling up the floor, finding pieces no one claimed. A receipt from '94, faded numbers, nothing clear. But somebody paid for something in this room that disappeared. A crayon from a kid who waited, drawing circles on the ground while his daddy got a trim. The crayon's all that's left of him, being small enough to sit beneath a chair and color in. Swept this floor 10,000 times, thought I knew what lived below. Turns out 30 years of people left more than they'll ever know. are the things that prove somebody was here, and that includes the man still sweeping at this hour. Three mirrors on the east wall, hung them up my second week. Screws are painted over twice, won't come out without a fight. First one lifted with a crack, plaster falling, dust and all. 30 years of holding still, wall looks naked where it hung. Turned it over just to clean it. Found a folded piece of tape, note behind the mirror said, in my hand, right in my hand, give every man who sits this chair the best version he can stand. 25 years old and scared, writing promises to the wall. Didn't know the mirror kept it, didn't know it kept me at all. I don't remember writing this, but I know the man who did. Shaky letters, blue ballpoint, same pen I still keep beside the till. He was sleeping on his cousin's couch, 3 months in with nothing lying. Thought a barbershop could save him from the man he left behind. Paper yellowed at the fold, words still sharp though never old. Note behind the mirror said, in my hand, right in my hand, give every man who sits this chair the best version he can stand. 25 years old and scared, writing promises to the wall. Didn't know the mirror kept it, didn't know it kept me at all. Did I keep that promise though? 30 years of scissors talking, every head I shaped and sent back into the world, still walking. Some came back looking better, some came back looking worse, but they came back to this mirror, and I gave them what came first. A clean line and a steady hand, and 40 minutes free from her. Second mirror coming down, third one follows after that. Walls are lighter where they hung, 3 pale squares of where I've been. Notice sitting on the counter, next to the penny and the pen. Not throwing this one out either, might be the only proof I've got that the man who started this knew exactly what he'd want before he knew what it would cost. 30 years of standing here behind the man inside the glass, giving everyone the best I could. Never once looked at myself and asked, Doorbell rings on Thursday noon. I look up and see a man. Takes me half a second more to find the boy inside his hands. I used to lift him to the chair, booster seat, and a lollipop. Now he's ducking through the door, shoulders wider than his pop. He says, I brought somebody new. Little boy behind his knee. The kid who used to cry and squirm every time I touched his ear. Standing in my shop, a father holding his own son right here. 30 years between the first cut and the one I'm giving now. Same chair holding different sizes of the same blood, same brow. Sat the little one up high, same booster, same old crack. Boy looks up at me the way his daddy used to looking back. I ask him what he wants today. He says, I want it like my dad. His father laughs and shakes his head. Best thing that I ever had. Scissors working through his curls, same curls, 30 years apart. The kid who used to cry and squirm every time I touched his ear. Standing in my shop, a father holding his own son right here. 30 years between the first cut and the one I'm giving now. Same chair holding different sizes of the same blood, same brow. I watched this boy lose his first tooth right there in that waiting chair. Watched him coming for his prom night, nervous, asking about his hair. Watched him walking after college, taller, quieter, almost grown. Now he's standing where his father stood, teaching patience to his own. I cut 3 heads in this family. Granddad used to sit right here. Now his grandson's in the booster, and the circle took 30 years. Finished up and brushed him clean. Little man jumped down and ran straight to Daddy, pulled his hand, said, I look like you now, Dad. His father looked at me and held something in his throat. He couldn't move. I put the cape across his shoulders. Same cut, same sides, nothing new. But his eyes were wet the whole way through. When he stood up, he shook my hand, held it longer than a man usually would. Said thank you for the first one and the last one, and everything that stood between his 5-year-old ears. And this afternoon, doorbell rang them out together. Big hand holding little hand. I stood there with the broom, watching through the window till they crossed the street and gone. Swept the hair up off the floor, 2 generations in one pile. That's the cut that broke me, and I smiled. Every seat collects a voice. This one's heard a couple million. Man sat here and told me once he was leaving for the coast. Packed his car the night before. Wife don't know he loves her most. I just kept the scissors moving. Wasn't mine to hold or judge. This chair heard what wives could not, what the doctor didn't ask, what the preacher couldn't pull out of men who wore a mask. Somewhere between the cape and the cut, a man forgets he's being watched, starts to say the quiet part, and the chair just takes it all. One man cried without a sound, tears just running past his jaw. I wiped the blade and kept on going, didn't mention what I saw. Another one rehearsed his speech, the one he'd give his son that night. Said it 3 times in the mirror, changing words to get it right. I just kept the scissors steady. Every secret kept its seat. This chair heard what wives could not, what the doctor didn't ask, what the preacher couldn't pull out of men who wore a mask. Somewhere between the cape and the cut, a man forgets he's being watched, starts to say the quiet part, and the chair just takes it all. I know who's in debt and who got fired, who's been lying about the trips, who loved someone that he shouldn't, who's been drinking more than this. 30 years of men confessing to a man who holds a blade. Not a priest, not a doctor, just a barber and a trade. But the chair became a church, and the cape became a robe, and the mirror made them honest when they couldn't be at home. Friday's over, shop goes dark. I sit down and face the glass. Every man who told me something left it here inside the brass, and the leather, and the stitching, and the armrest where they gripped when the words got hard to carry, and the truth began to slip. I never told a soul what I heard, not a name, not a word. That's the deal between the chair and the man who cuts your hair. 30 years of kept confessions, walking out the door on legs, never knowing that the barber carries every word they said. Not as weight, just as proof that they trusted someone once, and the someone was this room. Same cassette since '86. Label peeling, ink is gone. Side A starts with a horn that hits. Every man who walked in knows the song. Bought the tape at a yard sale once, $1.50, woman's box. Said her husband played it nightly till he couldn't find the dock. Popped it in and never popped it out. 40 years inside the deck. Playlist never changed and neither did the room. Same bass line greeting every afternoon. People on the street could hear it through the glass. Knew the shop was open by the second track. Didn't need a sign or a light turned on, just that horn and everybody knew the song. Kids would nod along and not know why. Old men would close their eyes and drift. Somebody once said, your shop don't smell like a barber shop, it sounds like one. Side B's got a slower cut, saxophone that leans and waits. I would flip the tape at 3 o'clock, same time every day, same break. Click and hiss before it starts. Side B's got the deeper heart. Playlist never changed and neither did the room. Same bass line greeting every afternoon. People on the street could hear it through the glass. Knew the shop was open by the second track. Didn't need a sign or a light turned on, just that horn and everybody knew the song. Couple years ago the deck got stuck, tape got caught inside the head. I sat there staring at the silence like somebody in the room had left. Took it to a man on 5th who still fixes what the world forgot. He cleaned the heads and wound it back, charged me 10 and said don't stop. This tape's got more miles on it than most marriages I've seen. Friday night I pressed the eject, first time and I don't know when. Hold the tape up to the light, ribbons thin and wearing down. Could've bought 100 records, could've switched to something new, but this tape was how they found me. This tape was how the room stayed true. Put it in the coffee tin next to the penny in the note. Cassette that played for 40 years, most loyal thing I ever owned. Sunday you won't have a deck, Monday you won't have a room, but somewhere in that ribbon still the sound of every afternoon. Every head that nodded slow, every man who closed his eyes, every kid who tapped his foot to a song he'd never find outside. Saturday broke different today. Line was out before I turned the key. Man I haven't seen in years, standing on the street like it was free. Some drove in from other towns, some walked over from the block. All of them with the same look, like they needed one more cut before the clock opened up and didn't stop. First cape on at 7 sharp. Last Saturday and every chair is taken. Waiting benches, standing room. Men who haven't sat together since their kids were in this room. Nobody's saying why they're here, nobody mentioning the sign. Just a line of men who needed one more this kind. Eddie brought a bag of rolls, set 'em on the countertop. Coffee pot I haven't used since the 90s. Someone plugged. By 11 it was more than cuts. Felt like something I can't name. Men were laughing, trading stories about the heads I used to shape. Razor working, towels stacking. Fastest hands I've had in years. Last Saturday and every chair is taken. Waiting benches, standing room. Men who haven't sat together since their kids were in this room. Nobody saying why they're here. Nobody mentioning the sign. Just a line of men who needed one more morning of this kind. By the afternoon a man walked in. I didn't know his face at first. He said, "You cut me back in 91. I was broken, you said pay me when it works." He pulled a 50 from his wallet and he set it on the chair. I said, "Brother, that was 30 years ago." He said, "I know, that's why I'm here." Street lights on and the tape still played. Last man left at 8:30. Shook my hand and couldn't say. I swept the floor for an hour straight. Most hair I've seen since Christmas week. Sat down in the chair and looked around. Room was full 5 minutes ago. Now it's just me and the steam from a coffee pot that someone brought on the last Saturday of a 30-year-old dream. Locked the door and left the light. Let it glow into the street. Somebody walking past might think we're still open. And for a minute, that's enough for me. Sunday morning, shop is closed. Came in early just to pack. A leather roll spread on the counter. Everything I own laid flat. First the scissors, number 2. Bought them with my second rent. Handle worn to fit my grip. No one else could hold them meant. Every tool a different year. Every blade a different hand I've held straight. Razor from my father's case. He never cut a head in his life, but he kept it sharp on Sundays, like a man preparing for a fight. I took it when he passed and learned to lay it flat against the skin. Every throat that trusted me trusted something passed to him. Clippers heavy, motor worn, same pair for 30 years. Switches loose, but they still run longer than they should for me. Comb collection in a jar, thick ones, thin ones, broken too. Every tooth is dragged through someone's morning wedding interview. Brush for shoulders, brush for neck, talcum shaker almost spent. Straight razor from my father's case. He never cut a head in his life, but he kept it sharp on Sundays, like a man preparing for a fight. I took it when he passed and learned to lay it flat against the skin. Every throat that trusted me trusted something passed to him. People think the hands do all the work, but hands are only half the trade. The other half is what you're holding in the years inside the blade. These scissors cut a boy to man. These clippers buzzed a soldier clean. This razor touched 1,000 throats and never once drew anything mean. I could buy new everything tomorrow, sharper, lighter, better steel, but these are mine. The way a voice is mine. You can't replace the way they feel. Roll them up inside the leather, buckle tight the way I learned. Case is heavy for its size, like a suitcase built for urn. Put it in a bag beside the tin, penny note and cassette tape. Tools on top like they're in charge, and I guess they always were. Tomorrow there's no counter here, no hook beside the mirror's frame, but the leather roll goes where I go, and the hands still know the game. Not retiring, not done, just a shop that ran its race. But the tools don't know the difference. They'll be ready just in case. Sunday evening, bag is packed, leather roll and coffee tin, counters bare for the first time since I put my things on it. Chair is sitting in the middle, swept around it one last pass. Empty as the room has been, even the echo feels like glass. Light switch by the door still warm, flipped it every day for 30 years. One key in my pocket now, one lock and the day is done. 30 years of Monday mornings ending on a Sunday sun. Door is heavy when it's final, heavier than when it's just the night. Every other time I locked it, I was coming back with the light. Stood inside and took a breath, leather and the lemon soap, aftershave that soaked the wood. Smell won't make it past the door. Mirror's gone, but I can see every face that ever sat. Ghost of every man who trusted someone standing at his back. Bell above the door still works, rang it with my hand like it deserved. Oh, the one key in my pocket now, one lock and the day is done. 30 years of Monday mornings ending on a Sunday sun. Door is heavy when it's Every other time I locked it, I was coming back with the light. I thought I'd say something out loud to the room before I go, something big or something earned, but I just stood there looking slow at the chair and at the floor, at the pale squares on the wall, at the counter where the tin sat, and the hook that held my apron. Turns out 30 years don't need a speech, they just need a man to stand there long enough to let it land that it's over. And he built it with his hand, stepped outside and turned the key. Lock clicked heavy, firm and clean. Bell rang once behind the glass. Last time it'll ring for me. Didn't look back through the window, didn't need to see it dark. Put the key inside my pocket, next to everything I am. Walked the block the long way home. Street was empty, Sunday pace. Shop behind me getting smaller, every step a kind of grace. Key is warm inside my hand, still feels like it wants the door, but the door belongs to someone else now. And the key belongs to more than just a lock. It's 30 years of every morning I showed up, every cape I threw across a chest, every man I turned to face himself, every sweep and every cut. Key stays with me, lock stays there. That's the deal between the man and the chair.